Groaning Geeks proudly presents Spiderman No Way Home. Warning, the following audio may contain coarse language or other materials that may not be for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Groaning Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised. And yes, they're spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, look away. Be sure to join the Facebook group, 1,400 members strong. Swing on by that YouTube, hit that 164 subscriber, hit that beautiful red button, make it 165, and follow our link tree to all the audio-only content we have coming out, which is some amazing stuff right around the corner. Witcher, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and Book of Boba Fett right around the corner. You know how we do. Without further delay, Spider-Man No Way Home. Wonderful four-man panel. William is Defoe. I got host today. Up top, Peter Parker 1. How we doing, Will?
Not bad at all.
Save that ass, Sam. Is that Morgan? How we doing?
Doing good, man.
And as always, Jeffrey, Furious Styles Morales. How we doing?
What up? How y'all doing?
Because I'm
Furious Styles. I like that.
Before we even get any further, I'm too excited to talk about this movie. Let's just go and who saw it first. I just literally finished. Will, I'm sure you saw it opening day.
Man, I was.
Will saw this last week sometime.
I saw this twice opening day, freaking another time the day after, and then again that Saturday. So freaking, I've seen it 4 times total.
Dang.
I saw it Saturday, and I will be going again when the wife gets back in town. I will be taking her to see it, so I'll get my mandatory 2 views in.
Looking for all the Easter eggs you missed the first time.
I saw it Friday afternoon. I was a little bit late picking my son up from school, but it was worth it. He'll understand.
When he's older, he will appreciate it.
When I show it to him, I'll be like, look, you get it, kid.
Exactly. There you go.
All right.
And if
Sam,
the teacher don't understand,
how'd
you got to
feel
put him
about
in a new school. That's just.
How'd you feel, Sam? Will loved it.
I felt. First of all, I was so pleased. I got everything in this movie that I wanted.
And more.
So much more. I got shit I didn't want, but I got everything that I just felt I had to have in this movie. They gave it to me. And that alone would have been good. There's a couple of things that I'm sure we'll get to, so I don't want to be the first one to spit them out there. There's a couple of scenes that happened in the movie. I didn't have to have that. It was so cool they gave me that. It was so cool that they did that this tie-in was here, that tie-in was there. But I had all 3 Spider-Man on screen, and damn it, that was what I went to go see. I'd have left the theater mad as hell if I ain't had it. I'm just...
Yeah. A lot of people felt the exact same way. Jeff, how'd you feel about the movie?
All right, look. I y'all know me. I love Marvel, but I ain't never really been a huge Peter Parker dude. I think we've had some conversations where I didn't really love Toby. I thought Andrew's movies let him down. This movie has solidified for me Tom Holland is my Spider-Man over anybody else, first of all. Secondly, this movie did more than, like Sam said, did more than we expected. It aced the test and the extra credit. Because a lot of times, especially as geeks, the hardest part of a trilogy is figuring out how to wrap it up. We have seen many trilogies stumble, fall flat on their face, blow up. We've seen all kinds of stuff. And this one not only closed the chapter on 1 Spider-Man, it closed a chapter on 3 Spider-Man. And one Spider-Man who didn't even get a 3rd movie because his 2nd movie was so bad. And 1 Spider-Man whose 3rd movie was so bad, that Spider-Man 3 was actually me and my wife's first date. And
y'all still together?
I told her, I distinctly remember, this is the moment that I knew that I was going to be with her for a long time, because I didn't really like the other movies, but I was like, there's no way you can mess up Venom. So I'm like, let's go. She liked the other movies. So I'm sitting there, and when he started, I'm just like, this is bad. But I don't know if this is bad because I hate Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, or if this is actually bad. And then when he started walking down the street, she leaned over and was like, this is so bad. And I was just like, it's too soon to say I love you, but
She gets
I
me.
do.
She gets
So this movie checked all the boxes. It closed the chapter, and it closed the chapter and reopened a new chapter, which is like an even more difficult thing to do. So
Yeah.
I have all the respect in the world for like the actors, the writers, the director of this movie, because they were going in with an impossible task. They were going in with basically, the writing was on the wall for people to come out of this movie like, oh, see, this ain't nothing like Marvel movies, blah, 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 superhero. And it's like, first of all, he's saving the theater industry with this movie because of the box office numbers, but the quality of the movie is there too. It's not just because it's a Spider-Man movie. It's a really good movie. So
Yeah.
that was my initial thoughts. We can get into more later.
Yeah, because like for me, I just literally finished seeing it like maybe an hour and a half ago, so everything's still very fresh. But like, I'm very happy I got the right theater crowd. When they did some of the magic stuff, Andrew showed up first. Theater was like, oh, come on, man. And then they did it again. Toby shows up. Theater erupted. And I got the only scene I particularly cared for, and the internet has been memeing to death before this movie. The 3 Spider-Men pointing at each other. That was all I wanted. When they got in the lab and they all just started doing this, I was like, the internet acknowledged that it was a thing. Thank you. We can move on with the rest of this phenomenal film. I mean, I was going to come out of it and be like, oh, this movie's ass if I didn't get this one part. But at the same time, I would have felt a certain way. Like, you had the perfect moment. You just let it go. But this, like, just like all three of you said, this was a phenomenal film, top to bottom. There's very little you can, like, nitpick at. And I have to say, William Dafoe, in my mind, stole the show. He did such a great job of switching in and out of his issues with Green Goblin. I really, really liked what was going on. And it was nice to see Oscar Molina in, like, another movie. It's like, I haven't seen him in a while in a film since, you know, Spider-Man 2, but also not particularly looking for him.
Honestly, your point with Willem Dafoe, I feel like all the characters had a nice transition to show the difference in their villainous side and their good side. Because Alfred Molina,
well, Sandman and Killer Croc were a little bit like
Killer Croc.
Lizard.
Lizard. Like, we couldn't get you guys on set, so we're gonna do 90% CGI. We'll fly you in for a day. We'll get you laying down on this thing, and we'll screen you in there.
Even then, the character that Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, you know, like, you go back and you watch that film, because it was in Spider-Man 3, most people don't really notice it. Yeah. But he had that real same, monotonous, like, his tone didn't change. And truthfully, he was one of those people that was like he's a villain, but not a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you are a villain does not mean you are a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of where he's always been. He's in that real
gray area.
Doesn't do good things, but he's not a bad person kind of thing. And Doc Connors is like, you know, the Lizard. Now he's trying to kill you. You know, it's totally different with him. So him being CGI the whole time and like, oh, I didn't know you could talk. That actually made me laugh. That because I could not recall him like having a conversation before. But you know, Jamie Foxx's character, like him coming back as Electro and not being like CGI glowy and whatnot, I think that was an improvement. But he got to be right. You know, he got to be Jamie Foxx. He got to be what people kind of wanted him to be, and not having the comb over and the thick glasses.
I feel like that was part of like his pitch point. It was like, okay, if you want me back, I get to be myself. I get to be how I want. I'm gonna ad lib a couple lines here and there and just run with it. Let me be me. And it worked.
Well, because it was like when that movie, when Amazing Spider-Man 2 first came out, it was like when Jamie Foxx was in the middle of this like serious run, and he was only doing like serious movies because he had won the Oscar and stuff. So I feel like they wrote that role pretty seriously, but it's like Jamie Foxx, he is a great dramatic actor, but he's a comedian first and foremost. And I like when I was watching Jamie Foxx, I was like, this feels like all the stuff that like Black people think and say when we watch MCU movies, even though we enjoy it. It's just like he's just like that dude where it's like, yeah, I feel everything you're saying. Like somebody saying something, he's like, oh yeah, that's a little bit weird. He's just like instigating stuff from the background. He's like, oh, y'all from the same universe. This is interesting.
Oh, so you know him? You know him?
It's like we didn't have to talk in the movie because there was somebody in the movie talking at the movie for us in the movie.
And that was actually like a fourth wall break kind of thing. And it was pretty cool. I know exactly what you mean with that. The characters, did anybody did anybody have a favorite character?
I've already said mine. William Dafoe, Green Goblin, like, I was hyped for it. Tom Holland did a phenomenal job. I actually felt a somewhat connection when him and Zendaya were having their moments. Like, that felt genuine. I mean, I'm sure it helps that they are in a relationship together, but
Can I tell you, I did not know that was a real thing till like today.
It was like they literally just like finally announced it. People have been like hot on their trail for like years and they've been denying it, but like they literally just like went public with this movie.
Okay. So I thought, I was like, you know what? I've only been off the internet for like 2 days. Did I miss something? Was there a big announcement? Did nobody hit me on Twitter?
Yeah, she posted on Instagram and it was like, and she didn't even, and it wasn't even like, you're my boo. It was like my Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this could be anything, but we know what it is.
Congrats. Yeah, what's happening? Tom Holland's working some OT. Well, any characters stand out for you to answer Sam's question?
I mean, it's pretty obviously with my name and stuff like that, and you know,
which one?
I mean, here's the thing. So this is a very difficult question to answer.
It is a loaded question.
So I have a very roundabout freaking answer and stuff like that. Freaking, all of them brought something to the table and stuff like that. Freaking, again, Toby with his initial freaking portrayal of Spider-Man and stuff like that, and kind of setting the groundwork for everybody and stuff like that. It's like kind of know what Spider-Man needed to be and stuff like that, kind of going forward. So everything that he did kind of set up everything. And when he came in as a very seasoned Peter Parker, very seasoned Spider-Man. He's like, I've been through.
He was delivering Uber Eats.
Even the moment where he freaking got stabbed, like, yeah, I've been stabbed before. Like, he's used to this stuff and stuff like that. He's used to freaking the pain and all stuff that his body has gone through and stuff like that, being Spider-Man, which again attributes to the Spider-Man in the comics very well. Yeah. Now we'll take it to the other side, stuff like that, where we got Andrew Garfield and stuff like that. When he talks about, and it's nothing that a lot of people didn't realize, Aunt May is the only person to ever say the great responsibility line correctly, like verbatim. Like, we always hear, with great power comes great responsibility. That's not what was said in the comics. Of that, it was more detailed. There's more words in there, stuff like that. But she said it freaking, and she actually drew it out. With great power, there comes a great responsibility, and stuff like that. So it's always been shorthanded, but she kind of elaborated on it. But Andrew Garfield, if you look at him, and what did he say? He said about he stopped pulling his punches and so that let me know that was the Spider-Man that took the dark turn, and so that he went down the dark. He was angry, he was mad. He started with that. Amazing Spider-Man 3 could have been a very dark movie for Andrew Garfield, and so that him really like beating the shit out of people.
So that's
the one,
the Spider-Man and Kingpin moment.
Yeah, that's the one that he would scrap and stuff like that. It's like, I will fuck you up and stuff like that. And I'm all about it, stuff like that. And I gotta agree freaking with Jeff on this one, of that. Tom Holland has cemented his role as Spider-Man and stuff like that. With the coming up and stuff like that. Freaking, we get all the quips, we get all the funs with that, we get all the pop culture references and stuff like that. Freaking, his selflessness, like you see him be selfish, then you see his selflessness come out and stuff like that. He's selfish because he wants, he needs to do this for him, but it's still selfless because he's trying to do it also for his friends. But then he wants to help all the villains and stuff like that. He's trying to figure out a way to fix them and stuff like that. Even after they came at them and stuff like that, he had his moment where we saw the dark side for a minute before Toby stopped him and stuff like that. So
that punch, man.
Every freaking, so literally, I can't give you a favorite out of all of them, so that because all of them were a piece. Like, if you put all three of them together, they make the comic book Spider-Man. They make the comic book version of Peter Parker. All of them drew something from it, like that, and it's literally like a fractured Peter Parker. You get a little bit freaking here and there, stuff like that, but all the phases he went through, everything that he dealt with, and stuff like that, that's it. And that's why Peter Parker's character, Spider-Man, was never meant to be the big global hero. And shout out to Ryan and stuff, Ryan Lewis, so that we may have been talking about this stuff, whatever. He was never meant to be that big global hero. So he's always been that street level hero and stuff like that. But he's always meant to
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
His character's always been meant to suffer and stuff like that, to deal with a lot of the hardships and stuff like that that we've always freaking dealt with as an everyman, superhero and stuff like that. So I have no favorite freaking in terms of Peter Parker, Spider-Man, stuff like that. They were all freaking good. Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, doesn't matter, so that they all set the bar high and so that for their return and did a lot of things. Now, I will say my favorite freaking villain and so that I love Willem Dafoe. He was absolutely fantastic, but I really like Jamie Foxx. And I love his character and stuff like that because he really he's back there, like Jeff saying, he was instigating and stuff like that. He was like he knew what he wanted. He's like, nah, I like this power. Like he showed me true villain and stuff like that most of the movie stuff without hiding it. So he was always like, yeah, I don't like this. No, I want to taste that new that good energy. I want that. So that I'm trying to fuck some shit up. I'm trying to be on top of that. And then freaking Green Goblin gaslit him and stuff like that. He was like, yo, fuck this, let's go. And he started freaking getting going, stuff like that. But again, with all the characters and stuff that they have put into this and stuff like that and set everything up, it was fantastic and stuff like that. Freaking the cameos and stuff like that. Freaking, but look, I'm looking forward to the future. Daredevil is in the MCU.
Daredevil is in the MCU. Let's touch on that.
I didn't say my favorite characters.
Let's let Jeff have his turn.
I thought you started with your. Go ahead.
No, I just mentioned
Jamie
Jamie Foxx. Tom Holland is my Spider-Man.
So you've already you've outlined it twice. I'm curious now. What?
No. I didn't. I just said I like.
Who's your favorite character?
Zendaya, MJ.
Because freaking
Michelle Jones. Okay.
Freaking pessimist.
Here's my thing. I am a big fan of Zendaya as an actress. I watched her on Disney Channel when she was growing up. She's super talented. And I think that she gets right what I think Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man series was great with Andrew Garfield, but you always knew she was going to die because she's Gwen Stacy. She gets right what I think what's her name gets so wrong.
Kirsten
Dunst gets so wrong. And that's not a knock on Kirsten Dunst. I love Bring It On. But her as Mary Jane is I wanted to claw my eyes out watching that quote unquote love story unfold. This was a love story. And for me, I've been kind of Zendaya, you've been, doing all this stuff with all these white boys and all these movies. I don't know how I'm feeling about it. And I'm ready to move on to Haley Steinfeld as my young actress of the moment. She's killing it in Hawkeye. She's killing it in Dickinson. That moment at the end where Peter is explaining what's about to happen, and she's doing the classic rom-com stuttering, talking through it, even though there's no solution. The look on her face, and maybe it does help that they were dating. Just the caress of his, her choices as an actress, and she never takes away from the scene, even though she's probably one of the biggest stars in the movie. She's always adding something. She never feels like the love interest that just gets shoehorned in. She's trying to help with the plan. She's doing stuff. She's adding comedy. She's adding romance. She's adding seriousness. She's going toe to toe with everybody. When they go to Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange is like, "This is your mess, Peter." She's like, actually,
I know a couple of magic words.
Y'all know all the memes about how when your order is wrong and your girl the one who go and be like, he didn't order mashed potatoes. That's what she was doing this whole movie.
No, it's okay, baby. No, it's not okay. He don't want the mashed potatoes. Strange, you made this spell. You messed it up.
Peter
you
ordered a spell where everybody but me forgets who he is. That's what he ordered. That's not what you brought him. So I
Yeah.
thought that she did a phenomenal job with very little to do because there was so much like focus on everybody else. It's almost like in a movie like that, it's just like if you're not necessary, like get out the way. Let us get to like the stuff. But
and I'm glad they
she
like
was
showed
necessary.
Flash and pulled Flash.
Yes.
He's in the movie,
Yeah.
but don't worry about him.
Yeah. So that was mine. Sorry. Okay, now we can go into
No.
next topic.
And you bring up a very valid point, and I think that each of the different characters, everybody had a specific role they had to fulfill, and they really tried to slip in Sinister Six on us, and because Adrian Toomes had his own Vulture had his own movie with Tom Holland. That's the only reason, and they've already like ruined, I guess, whatever little Easter egg that would be for Mobius, because we know that he's going to be in Mobius, because we see in the trailer he's talking. He's like, "Hey, Dr. Mobius, you and I, we should keep in touch." So, right there, it's like at some point I'm expecting to see something about a Craven, since we know that Kingpin is in New York because Charlie Cox, as Daredevil, was the lawyer, which was so great.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching.
Wait, exactly. And the timing of that is perfect.
I'm just gonna end it there in case people have not watched Hawkeye.
No, look, if you have not watched Hawkeye up to this point, if you haven't watched any of the freaking MCU stuff up to this point, you know that all this stuff connects together. Everything ties in.
I just wanted to say that.
No.
I just wanted to say that though because
you about to set him off.
Well, I'm just saying because somebody just might not have seen this week's episode of Hawkeye yet.
And as they fucking
is it you?
But I just want to clarify because we only said spoilers for Spider-Man. So that don't mean we get the spoilers
for everything. On your mama,
no. Our disclaimer at the beginning actually outlines various content. So it's not, yes, we're talking about Spider-Man.
If it's not, we talking about it.
Because it's connected to other stuff. It's relevant and it's important to make mention because it's not just the Daredevil Kingpin connection. Yelena actually talks about wanting to go to the new and improved Statue of Liberty.
Which just literally happened. You're like,
this is obviously like, when you look at the timeline, this has to be right around the end of the year.
Time.
And so you come over here to Hawkeye. Hawkeye is taking place during Christmas. So it's the fact that everything's connected. And this is actually not the first time. It's the first time the MCU acknowledged the TV shows. But it's not the first time. It's not the first time the TV shows have, because they've referenced in Jessica Jones, they made reference, in Daredevil, they made reference, because they were like, oh yeah, well, if you were a god with a hammer, or you could throw a shield, maybe then. And then there's the reporter.
They talk about the like attacks and like the whole story, the whole background story. Yeah, the whole background of like the real estate stuff that's going on is like the aftermath of the Battle of New York.
Exactly.
All that stuff. So
I know there's some fallout about the Hulk in Jessica Jones, and they talk about the Battle of New York. So it was just nice that the MCU acknowledged that is in canon. And since those TV shows, those Netflix shows were already connected, that makes that canon.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that doesn't necessarily, and this is not me speaking with no insider knowledge or nothing like that. My insider knowledge well has dried up now that I'm no longer on this topic. So I'm on the ride with y'all now moving forward. But I will say that doesn't necessarily mean that all four of those series are canon, because it's just like when you're dealing with multiverse stuff, like we talked about when we was doing WandaVision. If you don't show it to me, it don't exist. To me, I can think about it, we can chat about it, but I'm not willing to put it up and attach a red string to it. Right now, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, y'all on the board, but y'all don't have a tack with a red string connected to Spider-Man and Tom Holland and Chris Evans and everybody else yet.
We would still like to vote Iron Fist off the delegation board at this time.
Yeah, and if that means new Luke Cage, I'll take a new Luke Cage too. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but
no, it's really not. It's really not. They could switch it up. They could do something different. But at the same time, it would almost be not really
Cage dad.
pointless. But it's like that's a whole. You know what? That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, let's
That's
talk about
a red
Spider-Man.
string theory conversation.
That is definitely a red string theory because now I'm kind of like, but what about John Bernthal as Punisher because he had so much screen time? Anyway, all right. So moving back, Brent, take it away.
All right, so moving forward, we have those two big end credit scenes. Will, I already know. I'm gonna have to start with you. Venom.
All right.
Explain what's going on here for those who haven't seen it, but also we had spoilers in the heading, so.
All right. See, this one's going to be a tough one. For some fact is, we have to figure out how certain things are going to work within the MCU. At the end of this, we see Eddie Brock at a bar in Mexico, so that he got transported to, the MCU timeline, Mexico. And so at that, he's there having drinks. He's finding out history of everything that happened. So bartender is basically broke down. I guess the entire MCU timeline to him as far as shit was going down and stuff like that.
Oh man, they should have got Louise to do that.
That would be great.
So with that being said, it'd be great if Luis was like in the bar with him.
Right. Oh yeah. So let me tell you, some crazy stuff happened, bro. Like,
yeah, but we see that everybody gets transported about who knows. And again, there's some plot hole stuff in there we'll get to later. So with that, but everybody who knows that Peter Parker as Spider-Man got transported and stuff like that, freaking to, everything that's going on. So it's like, okay, well, Eddie Brock got transferred and so like that. He's there. He gets the whole background so like that. But then he gets transferred back. But when he gets transferred back, there's a little drop of symbiote that ends up getting left behind. That's like that. And I think that's the main reason why they made sure that we knew that they were drunk. So he's just flinging his goo all over the place or whatever the case may be. He says some shit and the drop goes up, whatever. It's like, bam. So he gets transported back.
Venom just flinging his goo everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. That's right there.
Does that come out of you like other places?
Right.
For him,
after
yes,
dark.
So with that being said, we're left off with a piece of a symbiote, stuff like that, within the MCU timeline. So it's the first symbiote that's in the MCU timeline, stuff like that. And the last thing that symbiote knows is that it needs to go talk to Peter Parker. So we can kind of see with Spider-Man 4 already in development, so like that, there's a pretty good chance that we can get Black Suit Spider-Man and stuff like that, freaking, at some point. And they can kind of take away from there because Tom Holland isn't done yet. That's what that he's still continuing, and his trilogy isn't necessarily ended because apparently it's going to 4. So we're about to see how they're going to take this. Now, the thing that comes to mind with all of this is if anybody knows the symbiotes, so they know the symbiotes work off of a hive mind of knowledge. They actually hit on that at the end of Venom 2. He explained, he's like, I'm going to show you a piece of that. So with that being said, because like, how did Venom get transported? Well, if Spider-Man 3's Venom knew who Peter Parker was with that, and it's the hive mind, and so like that. Now, if that hive mind is shared across the universe, and stuff like that, and across the multiverse, and stuff like that, then eventually all the information is disseminated, and stuff like that, among all the symbiotes and stuff like that. Hence, how Venom would know that freaking Spider-Man is such. Then bam, that's how he gets transported. So that, but now we're just at the part like, okay, Venom goes back to his timeline, which technically he could be part of Andrew Garfield's timeline, as far as we know, because he doesn't have a symbiote in his timeline that we know about, or another Peter Parker's timeline. Either way, he's gone because they reference freaking Daily Bugle and all that kind of stuff in New York because Venom takes place in San Francisco. New symbiote is here, so does that mean we're going to get a new Eddie Brock? Freaking within this universe, is it possible to create a Venom and stuff like that? Freaking, we have a Flash, and stuff like that. Flash Thompson was Agent Venom at some point, so like that. Could we lead to that and stuff like that? Freaking, could this set up freaking more freaking for Venom going forward and stuff like that? We've seen J. Jonah Jameson's son in other Spider-Man movie, so could he be here? Could we, because he was the one who brought the symbiote to Earth and stuff like that. So now is he a non-factor at this point? Because the same J. Jonah Jameson was shared within the MCU and Tobey Maguire's timeline. Same Jonah Jameson, so that, albeit older. So it's like,
there's a lot of red string here.
Yeah, there's a lot. Freaking, I got a lot to dissect and stuff like that. So y'all can join me for that later. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. Trust me.
Yeah, I was even putting. I was like, okay, I can see how that could work. Now, as far as the hive mind working across the multiverse, is kind of like, but at the same time, when the spell like was no longer contained, and we started seeing the purple rips in the sky,
which featured some characters.
Yeah,
I was about to say, like,
looks like Rhino.
Just okay. Well, Rhino was a very clear one. People
Black
may
Cat.
not have, the one with the spear would have been Craven, and that was the only other one that was like clear. And so that's why I was trying to get to that part, and you just go steal that right from me as I'm coming to it.
I'm
So anyway, like, yeah. And of course, but that also made me think about and wonder as far as like the timing. Now, the second post-credit scene.
I was gonna let both of you and Jeff go in on that. Me and Will did What If. You guys just take away what
I'll come in on the end of it. So y'all do what y'all do.
So I saw that, and that was the trailer for Multiverse of Madness.
pretty much.
Magorath.
Your boy, he was there. I'm mad because I still I ain't get no Mephisto. It turned out that Strange was strange. He wasn't controlled.
In the crowd, there was a picture of Devil in Disguise, Peter with like horns and stuff like that when he was walking to school.
I did see that one. Oh,
right?
There he is. But see, now we got Shumagorath, and he's in there. So kudos to you on that one, Brent, because you've been talking about him, and now he's here. So you got yours. But I was, knowing that there was probably going to be two, and then like, thank God, of course, because it's, Marvel, we're going to stay till the lights come up and the screen cuts off. And still amazed that people walk out before that. When I saw that trailer, and I was looking at that, and of course it was like Doctor Strange will return and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is just a trailer for Multiverse of Madness. Like, they haven't actually released a trailer. You can't go on YouTube, find a trailer. But if you stayed to the end of the movie, you get to see this trailer. And then we get to see Wanda, and he goes and he talks to Wanda, and she's like, yeah, I know I did some bad things. He's like, well, I'm not here to talk about Westview. She's like, then what are you here to talk about? And basically he's like, okay, so check it out. I fucked up.
We both kind of fucked up, so that's why I'm not
busy.
talking to you.
If you have a moment, so when you take Ant-Man and Quantumania, and we know that Kang, based on the events that we saw from Loki, the one who remains, one of his variants, Kang the Conqueror. We see the split and the ripple and the branching of the timeline that takes place there. You combine that with Wanda hearing her children across the multiverse, and her being a Nexus being, she would be the same no matter what universe or multiverse she goes into. It's still her. So guessing she can't coexist anywhere.
She's a Nexus being. There's only one of her.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She can't coexist anywhere, but wherever she is, she's her there. But that also means that she's one of the few people that could probably effortlessly move back and forth between.
She can only move back and forth between them as long as another Nexus being is not inhabiting that area. They can't. They got issues with each other.
Cool. Then, separately, Doctor Strange is sitting over here fooling around with the multiverse. So that's 3 times that the multiverse has been like tampered and fucked with. So the little that meme you see where you have the door lock and they have the Cheeto holding the door lock.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this multiverse is at this point. They have that Cheeto is like dust on the ground now. And I'm watching this trailer and I'm looking at the different things that are taking place, looking at different things that are happening. And I'm just curious as to who all gets to be a part of this and how much they're going to change or alter or rewrite based on release dates and such. And so that's what I'm looking at. And those are the things.
In there.
Yeah, those are the things I'm kind of like. He's formulating something here, but
I mean, for me, like y'all know me, I've been looking forward to like, okay, what is next in terms of like one, what's the next step of Avengers? Are we doing Young Avengers or all new, all different? That's been one of my biggest questions. And like with some of the like lineup changes and stuff that they've been doing in the movies, it's kind of like, well, we got Kamala Khan, Captain America, Sam Wilson, all new, all different. We got female Thor coming up. We got a few of those characters. But then we also got Billy and Tommy. And I feel like I've heard the name Amadeus Cho somewhere in the MCU.
that is the
Avengers Age of Ultron. You heard
exactly.
about his mother.
And like a few other people. And so now we got Young Avengers. Are we just going to do like a smash up of them? We got Kate Bishop. I don't know where she going. Are we doing West Coast Avengers? Like, I'm really curious about like what is this core team going to meld into? Because then it was looking like, okay, well, yeah, Spider-Man will be one of the like top guys in there. Like he saved the universe. He knew Tony Stark. He's got this money and tech and blah, blah, blah. He can back the team. Not anymore. So,
don't nobody even know who that cat is.
Right.
We'll get back to that.
So now it's like, are you the Spider-Man that has to die for Miles Morales to become the new Spider-Man? Like in the comic books, are we doing that? Or are we plucking Miles from another universe? Like all of it is like open.
Are we going to Ultimate? Well, I mean, like,
well, that's just the Spider-Verse because Miles is also brought in. So when the multiverse collapsed and expanded so like that, Miles was brought into Peter Parker's without him having to die. And so like that at one point. So
I mean, you still have everything that takes place with the Ultimates. For me, since you got Secret Invasion coming up or Secret Wars coming up,
but I'm also looking at like, at what point is that going to happen? Is it going to be like they're going to bring Miles in from another universe where his Peter Parker already died? Or is it going to be Miles from this universe? But then once they compress the universe back together and make it like one canonical universe, it's like, all right, well, we got this Spider-Man, but we got Miles Morales and they can coexist together. So for me, it opened up a world of possibilities of what could happen. What if, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of like, all right, you showing me all this stuff that could happen. Now what's going to happen? And the only thing I know for sure that's going to happen is Wanda's going to be in there. Doctor Strange is going to be in there. We're going to get America Chavez. And after that, who knows? And I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm ready for the ride. I like to speculate and stuff, but when I go in the theater, I'm just like, okay, you tell me the story. Like, that's what I paid for. I didn't pay to come up with
we're not here at self-checkout. We're not here at self-checkout. I'm not making my own movie. And I'm doing better. I'm doing better with that. Yeah. You would be proud of me. I was upset with something the other day because I was like, you just got to tell me what's happening. If I didn't see it, I shouldn't have to figure that out.
All right, Will.
Sorry.
Let's get Jeff get one more point in. We'll get your point in. We'll start rapping.
I was just going to make one point about the fight scenes in this movie. Like the variety of fighting in this movie. Like, first of all, I know Christopher Nolan got to be destroying himself after watching that Mirrorverse scene. Like, he thought he was doing something in Inception with that one little streak coming up. These motherfuckers transformed the Grand Canyon into a corkscrew with flying trains and jumping on mirrors. And
Archimedes spiral. Like, yeah,
it's geometry. I'm good at geometry.
And we whipping and catching Dr. Strange in a web. Like,
I beat Dr. Strange.
That was one of the most incredible like battle scenes I've ever seen, because it was literally like, it was strength versus strength. Like the first time we saw the mirror dimension, it was like two people who knew how to like manipulate the mirror dimension. So after a while, it's like repetitive. It's like, okay, y'all just holding walls on each other and mirrors and jumping through in glass. Cool. But now we got one person controlling the mirror dimension and another person that's just like a wild card in there that don't know. He can't control the mirror dimension. So all he has to do is react to it. That was like such a fascinating fight. And then you go to the like Happy's apartment, like fisticuffs between him and Green Goblin.
That shit.
And I mean, you're
brutal.
talking about WWE,
Yeah.
like
You.
Royal Rumble in the yard. You and your
I
cousins.
mean, when he
just
like
going
suplexed
ham.
him through the floor, come
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah,
The flip and stuff like that with the web stomp and stuff like that, which is freaking beautiful and stuff like that. Freaking
and even the reversal at the end where like you're seeing Spider-Man fight like Spider-Man, where it's like I'm whipping you and dragging you in, so when you catch this knee, you're gonna get all of this knee. You're not just getting the knee, you're getting the knee and the thwip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And honestly,
So-
that was the Spider-Man has his own
Fighting
style. Like literally, it's almost like his own martial art, if you will.
It is.
That no one else can do because it's an extension.
Marvel's
of who
Avengers
he
can't
is.
even do it. We've seen the gameplay. So yeah.
He went there. So
Can.
but I also like how even between each of the Spider-Men, you got their individual personalities. And much like you pointed out, it is the older, seasoned veteran Spider-Man who, you know what? I'm only going to do what I got to do. I'm going to let these young boys have it. I'm going to just swing over here this way, swing over. Because you know what? I'm past the days of stopping trains. Damn all that. Like, we ain't doing that no more.
But did you catch that when they freaking were like, yo, we're synced up, we're going, and they swung in the battle? If you notice, when each one of them jumped into the moonlight, so that they hit their pose from the end of their movie.
Yes.
That shit was beautiful. Oh my God.
It was fantastic. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter which Spider-Man is your Spider-Man. You got to watch your Spider-Man at his best.
And that's the kind of stuff I usually hate. Like, personally, I hate fan service because it's just like, we saw that already. Why do you need to see it again just to feel good about yourself so you can clap in the theater? Cool. Did you win? Did you get the job? I'm sorry, that's the Gabrielle Union. Like, did you feel better? Did you get the job? Did it make you feel good that you saw it? But I was like,
now you got a little
this makes sense. They not gonna just start doing new poses because they in a new universe. It's like, yeah, Toby, do your Toby pose, Andrew, do your Andrew pose. And it was like done in a way where it was like not even over the head. Even the part where he's like, wait, you did what? He's like, look, I want you to know you're amazing. You're amazing. You are amazing.
Just like,
and it's just like,
he's like, you know what? I need it. Thank you. I need it.
And it worked because he got his redemption.
Yes.
He got his redemption.
He saves Zendaya.
Oh, man.
But you know what? I think the reason that hit so
died,
bad was when first of all, and we just like,
God, it's gonna be a long.
He was gonna riot.
You already know.
Look,
I told you it's gonna be all over the place.
May. That hurt. That hurt.
RP.
That hurt.
I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that. And thinking back to when Goblin had, I don't know the actress's name, but when he had the older Aunt May from Toby's movie, had her like at the hospital, and she was all like,
it was like Christine.
That just showed like this dude is not all there. You know what I'm saying? And even then, and it's like you get why, like Brent, you mentioned that Kingpin in jail moment. You get why he went there because like you took May.
Yeah, Goblin kept pushing him, and it's just like when Joker pushed Joker pushed Superman too far, and then Superman's like, "I'm gonna rule the planet. I'm done."
Rosemary Harris, the original Aunt May, Rosemary Harris.
And it's just like,
Big
you know what I'm saying?
Rosemary.
So seeing that hurt. But then when they talked about it, and of course he was like, we talked to the other Spider-Man, and he's like, like, yeah, it hurts. Da, da, da. They was like, don't come in here and tell me like you understand that you know what I'm going through. Da, da, da. I'm thinking about like I'm sitting in the theater thinking about stuff like
you do.
Right.
Everyone knows it's them.
Like you don't even know
And
how
everyone
they got
steps into
Uncle
the
Ben
spotlight.
too. Right, like they got Uncle Ben.
I loved someone once. It was my Uncle Ben. I could have stopped the guy who got him, but I didn't. Well, it's like, oh my God, you're right. You could have stopped him.
And no, he was like, I wanted him to die. I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it didn't make the pain go away. And it's like, you know what? Like, dang, he does, you know what? Thinking about it, he does have to live with that.
And he
like,
saves another Spider-Man from
making that same
his fate.
And
man, so many nice little bows
and that was a
just
question.
wrapped up on this series.
They were talking about why didn't his spider sense go off when he's about to be stabbed and stuff like that. Freaking, it's like I think freaking Peter 2, Toby, knew what was about to happen, and he let it happen.
No, I think that at that exact moment, Peter 1 was the greater threat.
Yes, exactly. Peter 1 was the greater threat. He had to stop him. He knew what was going on behind him, but he did not want to let that freaking go. He had to make him realize that this is not worth it and stuff like that.
That also
And
kind of makes me
took
wonder,
that hit.
like, which one of them is stronger?
Power
Well,
Ranger.
Which one
we
is
saw
stronger?
we saw how Toby was stretching before the fight. So
Right? No, he had to have his whole back cracked.
my
It's like
money
too
is
many years
not
of
on
web
him.
swinging. He was like, "Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so much better."
Like no man picking me up before a battle to crack my back. I'd be like, hey, bro, get one of them foam rollers out here. We're not doing that.
Look, you keep that insecure. I don't give a shit.
In a
Marines,
spandex
like
suit?
that, I don't give a shit. We out there in our freaking goddamn freaking our freaking browns and stuff like that, which is the thermals that we wear underneath and stuff like that. We don't give a shit.
Hey,
If we
I
got
wasn't
freaking,
born for
we
that
got,
life.
look, fighters don't give a shit. If we got to
I
get
wasn't
ready,
born
we
for
got to
that
get ready to
life.
scrap. It don't
We
fucking matter.
not
If
doing
they-
front to back and spandex.
In that kind of
bruh.
situation, it's very likely that
And-
you know what? If who gonna know?
All
Who
right, right
gonna
there.
know?
Out of all
They're
those,
gonna
I
know.
think
They're gonna
Andrew
know.
Garfield would be the strongest out of all of them right there, because he's the only one
He was
who
In
legitimately
his prime.
Yeah, he was in his prime, and so like that, and he was used to not pulling his punches and so like that. He was in a dark place, like he would hurt somebody.
Yeah,
So like
he ain't
that.
have no Mary Jane.
I do think
And,
Cut
that
her
and
out
they
of the
gave him
movie.
hope that he might find a Mary Jane. When he heard MJ, they gave him hope that he might find a Mary Jane.
Bringing
Yep.
it all back in,
Shailene Woodley.
we
big
cannot
up.
say enough good things about this movie, and if I don't cut us off now, we will be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, probably still talking about how great this movie is. For the man, the myth, the Marvel, we'll park up front, drinking tequila. Same dad ass Sam, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for
Jeffrey,
having me.
thank you for hopping on and contributing some excellent viewpoints that I actually didn't even think about till we got here. I've just been running host. As Tony would always say, I love